Okay. Fasten your seatbelt. We have Dr. Carlos Garcia on the Lillian McDermott radio show. We're going to be talking about cancer being a symptom. What's it telling us? Fasten your seatbelt. We're going to learn and grow together. Time to dance, Dr. Garcia. I want to see some dancing. Head bopping.
We'll be bopping.
Okay, I'm getting some feedback. Maybe when the show is live, I think I'm getting feedback, but keep an ear on it.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show.
Here we go.
Reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, this is going to be this was the show that was a defining moment for me on the Lillian McDermott radio show, meeting my guest today. And when I tell you that it is my purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, and it's my sole purpose to provide a safe place, this journey has been with me for a while, and I am committed to providing alternative ways to heal. But I did not know what that meant until I met this man. And so it became my mission to bring awareness, responsibility, and truth. And I want it to be a part of my everyday life, and I want it to be a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, have felt empowered to learn this new truth that we talk about on the radio, on the Lillian McDermott radio show, so that you can feel like you can have the life of your dreams, truly. Today, we're going to be talking to Dr. Carlos Garcia, and I want to encourage you, because the things you're going to hear today, you've heard before, but if this is the first time that you've heard the show, you're probably going to be angry. You're probably going to be insulted, because there's a lot we don't know. So I'm just preparing you that I want you to consider what you hear today. Check out, research it, make it your truth, not my truth, but your new truth, by doing what you need to do to take responsibility for your life. And so Dr. Carlos Garcia is one of those special people that you meet in a lifetime that makes a difference in everything about you. And I met him and I learned about Utopia Wellness from doing, like back in 2015, doing a bunch of shows that I was doing on alternative ways to heal cancer. And not only did I meet him, but I surprised him by going to his office one day when he was doing therapies at Utopia Wellness. And when I arrived, I did not expect what I saw. Normally, when you go to a cancer treatment center, there's a lot of death and the smell is awful. But this was different. There was laughter. There were people with full heads of hair. There was a doctor who cared enough to really stand in front of their faces and tell them, this is life. This is real. What are you committed to? When will you make a change? And these patients weren't receiving chemotherapy. They were receiving vitamins and magnesium, nutrients, minerals, and a lecture from Dr. Carlos Garcia to scare them straight. And when I saw this, I just thought, I've entered something special here. And he wrote the book called Cancer is a Symptom, The Real Cause Revealed. And we're going to be giving this book, we're going to be the 10th caller or texter today, the 10th caller or texter that will learn a new truth about cancer being a symptom. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Carlos Garcia is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Garcia, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Well, thank you very much, Lillian. It's a pleasure to see you again. I'm glad to see that you're doing very well. Lovely as ever. And we're here to try to help people broaden their scope of what reality may be.
Absolutely. So share a little bit about your background and your reality and what brought you to an alternative way to heal the body.
Well, I I went to the University of Massachusetts Medical School. I had a very fine career as an anesthesiologist. I got injured. As a result of that, my life came to end as far as clinical anesthesia was concerned. And then I decided to retool and do something that was kind of different. And one of my friends called me up and said, hey, look, there's this thing called chelation clinic. They need a doctor. I said, what's chelation? He goes, I don't know, but you need to do something with your life. Mm-hmm. So when I started monitoring or mentoring the chelation clinic, I noticed that patients were starting to get well from hypertension, type 2 diabetes, all sorts of diseases that traditional medicine teaches us as students and practitioners, that once you get these diseases, you're stuck with them for the rest of your life. And that's not necessarily correct. In some cases it is, but in the vast majority, you can take remedies, natural remedies, to help heal the body. So the whole aspect of what we're trying to do here is make an impact to get people to understand that the actual healer of each and every one of us is not the doctor. We can't cure. If we could cure, we'd be gods.
Yes.
The only person who can cure you is you. So what we have to do is form a bond, we being physicians. Physicians have to form a bond with patients so that we can collectively work together to help you find the remedy that is within you so that you can access it and then provide yourself with the health care and the health that you really want and are willing to work for. And it's going to be a very good work.
Absolutely. And so today we are giving away Dr. Carlos Garcia's book. This is the man that helped me truly see the truth about cancer. So cancer is a symptom. Be a 10th caller or texter. 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Garcia. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, we had to make a little bit of adjustments, and now we're going to hit the bulk of the cancer issue, and hopefully all of us will take this journey of a new truth together.
Well, one can only hope.
You got your mic right next to you, because I
quite.
want people to hear every morsel that comes out of your mouth. Do you have when is your group there, the group session that you do? Is it that Wednesdays?
Yes, we do that on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Can you hear the music?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
McDermott, or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today's teacher is Dr. Carlos Garcia. Great book called Cancer is a Symptom, The Real Cause Revealed. This book is so torn and worn, but I keep it in the bathroom so that all my guests that come to my house can read it. And it's the guest bathroom. And I draw on it many times because it has so much information that we don't know. Dr. Carlos Garcia is an MD who focused on anesthesiology, right? You're an anesthesiologist. And now he has completely changed. You thought this was going to be a real easy job, and the next thing you know, you were writing scripts. You thought it was like, now I'm reducing medication. What's up with this? And it completely changed your life too.
Well, I mean, it's really dramatic when you realize that a lot of what you were taught in medical school is really not true. And actually, when you look hindsight back at medical school, they do a very crafty job of really getting us to understand that really what we're really taught in medical school is how to become very good salespeople for the pharmaceutical industry. Because everything that we do is not designed around how can we get the patient to participate in their healthcare and how to get the patient to do whatever the patient needs to do. It's about use it, abuse it, break it, go to the doctor's office, and then hopefully, if you're lucky, you will be able to get a pill or a procedure so that you can go back to using it and abusing it and breaking it once again. Now, you take the automotive model, where they now have oil that can last allegedly up to 100,000 miles or more. And they've already brainwashed most people to take 100,000 mile oil and change it every 3,000 miles. So the whole point is that we've been taught that our automobiles are very important to us and we need to protect that asset. Yet the most valuable asset that you can't buy, your health, is something that we've been taught to take for granted. And in part, we've been, again, ill-educated into believing that it's the doctor's responsibility to keep you healthy and for you to use it, abuse it, and break it. And that, in that model, isn't going to bode well, because you have to maintain your body. And believe me, you can't buy your health. And the beautiful thing about cancer, or for that matter, almost any disease, is that it doesn't care if you're white or black, male or female, young or old, rich or poor. It's an equal opportunity offender.
Yes.
And I respect that about disease. It just doesn't care. And so people need to understand that if you value your automobiles, if you value your home, then you should treasure your health, and you should give it the importance that is necessary. What you eat, what you drink, what you think, what environment you live in, how you get along with your coworkers, how your boss treats you, how you treat your boss, how you perceive all these things around you is crucial for you to be well, because your perception is your reality. And a lot of people now in America, there's this push to make us all victims, non-responsible. It's for like somebody else's responsibility. If it doesn't work, we throw a temper tantrum. And that's not reality. Reality is you've got to step up to the plate and start participating in what's important to you. And in this case, we're talking about healthcare and cancer, because, you know, the interesting thing about cancer is that about 100 years ago, a gentleman named Royal Rife invented this gorgeous microscope that is able to show the world, or anybody worth listening, that the cancer, that cells that have cancer are all viral diseases. Royal Rife received all sorts of different cancers. You pick a body part, he got cancer samples from it from all over the world about 100 years ago. And he was able to analyze it, and the cells were alive. And he made cinematography of what he saw. So it's not make-believe. And Royal Rife basically said all cancers, irrespective of wherever they're coming from, are a viral disease. Now the Europeans think it's a fungus, but we'll talk about that some other century. The deal here is that if cancer is a viral disease, as I believe according to Royal Rife's work, and the flu is a viral disease, as the CDC claims, and the flu changes. The strains from last year is different from this one, which will be different from next year's, which was different from 5 years ago. Well, why is it that all these different strains of flu always attack the same thing? The head, the nasal passages, the lungs. Whereas cancer, with the exception of the heart, I've seen cancers in just about every other body part. So if two viruses can have such a diverse presentment as far as the human body is concerned, why is it that the flu doesn't have that same ability? And so that question really gnawed at me for about 10 years. It took me 10 years to figure out why in blazes cancer can have such a diverse presentment in the human body, whereas flu is basically just allocated to the head and neck area. And excuse me. And those are very important clues into beginning to understand the whys of the cancer. Why is it that these two viruses, some people get it in the breast, some people get it in the liver, some people get it in the kidneys, and so forth, yet the flu does the same thing. And so when I started to ask that question and I started to look at the answers, well, first of all, there were no answers. So I had to start figuring out where the heck the answers came from, because it had to come from somewhere. And so I started to look and look and look. And that forced me out of my comfort zone. And so what this show basically does is forces people out of their comfort zone. Because if you look at the traditional medical model is to tell the patient you have one choice. That is, you do what your doctor tells you. You don't think, you don't participate.
And the doctors are usually sicker, sometimes, not always, than the patients that are going to see them. because we all fall into this model of belief. So let's talk about cancer. And we've done shows on cancer. We know what cancer is, but as you're doing your research, now let's talk about, why do you feel that cancer is separate? If Rife
Mm-hmm. Right.
Rife said that cancer is a viral infection. Quickly, what is the difference between the two? What have you learned?
Between the two what? I don't understand.
But virus, why a virus that we get sick from versus cancer? What was your conclusion to that?
Well, the whole point was, it wasn't until I came across by happenstance the work of a gentleman named Reichert Hammer.
Yes.
Dr. Hammer was an oncologist who died, I think, about a year or two ago, who basically examined about 1,500 different patients with different cancers, and he did studies in their brain. And what he found out was that, in fact, that different patients with different cancers had different abnormalities in their brain studies. And so what Hammer did was, he took all these patients, he questioned them individually, and he collated the answers depending on the body part that first presented with cancer. Mm-hmm. So, for example, breast cancer sometimes goes to lung, liver, or bone, or brain. So if you had metastases, what he did was he categorized you as a breast cancer in this example. And so then, after he collated all the answers into the primary site of cancer, he read the answers, and he found out that these cancers, these people who didn't know each other, who didn't collaborate on the answers, had similar stories. And he basically filtered it down, and I just basically, made it further, distilled it to bullet points. Yeah. And so, in essence, when you're diagnosed with a reproductive organ problem, breast, ovarian, uterine, cervical, vaginal, testicular, penile, and some prostate cancers, you may feel that you've either lost a very significant person in your life, grandfather, great-grandfather, father, husband, spouse, son, daughter, friend, relative, or colleague, or you've been betrayed by somebody like that. And betrayal can be someone that you confided in the middle of a conference. They basically rat you out. So depending on what is going on in your life depends on which body part becomes susceptible. And now, additionally, if you throw in a splash of Oriental medicine, the right side of the body normally is associated with males. The left side of the body is associated with females. So if a woman presents with, say, a left ovarian cancer, one could pretty much say, okay, what problems have you had with a female in your life that's important to you? Yes. Now, again, it doesn't have to be a betrayal. It can be the loss. You could lose your mom, you can lose your daughter, you can lose some female that was very close to you. On the same token, if you wind up with a right-sided breast cancer, then you start talking about what men have done to you, or what you perceive men have done to you.
Sure.
Because, again, remember, your perception is your reality.
So I want to remind my listeners right now that this information is in the book, Cancer is a Symptom. When I read this page, which is page 28, I've got it marked in my book because I want everybody to see it when they come in. I even took pictures of it and I sent it to people in my family. You have all the information from all the different body parts, the symptom, where it originally shows up, and what the root cause is. Everything has an emotional component. All disease, this is what we talk about on the Lillian McDermott radio show, that all disease has an emotional component. Cancer is no different. So interesting, Dr. Garcia. So as you were looking at all the data, you saw that viruses, the differences between the cancer virus and the virus that affects us in the head could be the emotional component of a loss or disrespect, or you can go down that list. Is that what the conclusion is?
Well, the conclusion is, why is it, well, the question is, why, let's just take breast cancer. Why is it that the right breast had cancer and not the left breast? Yeah. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to wish anybody have breast cancer, but the reality is, why do some women have right breast cancer? Why women have left breast cancer? And so when you start looking at the emotional component, in my opinion, and based on Hammer's work, that different parts of the brain are affected by the emotional trauma, then it begins to make sense that if something is injured, when you hit your thumb with a hammer, the thumb that got struck with the hammer swells up and becomes acidic because there's trauma and there's pain, and you send an inflammatory response to it. And so when you're emotionally traumatized and that part of the brain gets injured, I hypothesize that injury to the brain then causes the pH in that particular breast to start to change and become acidic. And when we get back, because we're going to be going to music soon, I understand.
You're fine. Don't worry. I'll take care of that. This is a guy that's done radio before. I can tell you that. But here's the thing. I don't think I've even given the number. Be the 10th caller or texter, 407. Make sure it's 407-373-5959. We want to make sure we call the right number, 407-373-5959. It's amazing. I'm already getting texts that I don't think I gave a number out. 407-373-5959, the 10th caller or texter. This is so important. We're always passing blame. We're always saying, it's your fault, and you need to do this for me. And this person is supposed to heal me, or this person did something wrong for me. How do we deal with it? How do we get past that? And this is what teachers like Dr. Carlos Garcia have allowed me to discover, this new truth. And I'm hoping that today's show will completely teach you that it is so important to take 100% responsibility for our life. And that goes without blame, fault, or shame. 407-373-5959. And we're going to continue our conversation worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, here we go. Got out of that one real quick. Thank you, Brian, for holding me honest here. I'm watching him clicking on the computer this time. He's got a beautiful smile on his face. Dr. Garcia, I've had people that are emotional healers on my show. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Mona Lisa Scholes, but Dr. Mona Lisa Scholes is a medical intuitive. I mean, she has an MD, PhD, and she goes back to the root cause. And many of the things that you've discovered, that others before you have discovered, that you've been able to put together, it's amazing how many people are saying the same thing, Dr. Garcia. And you were the first one I heard say this stuff.
Right, but the whole point is that these people don't want to see. The problem with emotional healers is that you can't heal people. Then they be gods.
That's right.
You got to heal yourself.
No, that's good. I can hear you better now.
You can hear me better now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
We're still recording.
No, I mean, the whole idea here is that you can't get someone to heal you. I cannot cure anyone except me. This is something that really terrifies doctors, because doctors are being trained to believe that they can cure through drugs or procedures. Now, this isn't to say that procedures aren't helpful, because they are. That isn't to say that drugs aren't helpful, because I use them. But the whole purpose here is that it's very, very important, very, very important for people to understand that you are the ultimate healer of yourself. And be it me, be it whomever you wish to go to, whatever person you designate as a guru, which I hate that term because no one's a guru. I mean, we're all dumb. The difference between many guys.
We're dumb ruse.
Well, yeah, but the whole point is that you know that you're dumb. Then you have to work. Now you can have something to start working towards being able to make your life much better. Yeah. Because now you know that you're limited, and now you have to start working with what you've got, and then you start bringing in assistance, which is what we do. So,
yeah, I do want to talk about that. My phone it's funny. This information changed my life, Dr. Garcia. It allowed me to start the foundation. I remember that day that I was with you guys. That night I was awakened. I don't know if I think I told you the story. I was awakened at like 3:00 in the morning. Because the fact that insurance doesn't pay for what you do, and you have so many wonderful stories of stage 4 cancer sent home to die. I've got Dr. James Forsyth, stage 4 cancer sent home to die. He's doing a clinical trial, and he can say without any dispute, I've got a 70% success rate 7 years down the road. He's been doing this trial. But here's the thing. The 5-year survival rate for cancer with chemotherapy is 2.1%.
Right. But the whole point is, look, and this is macabre, okay? So I'll tell you, no one's going to like what I'm going to tell you.
Well, remember, you're being recorded, but go ahead.
Okay. So you go back to Auschwitz, okay, the concentration camp.
I know.
Okay. You go back to Mengele, a person I despise. And what did Mengele do? He poisoned people, he burned people, he starved people, and he mutilated people surgically. When you look at today's way of treating cancer, I submit that we starve people because people who are hospitalized with cancer. I have a patient that I sent to a hospital currently right now that needs some radiation because we got to control the bleeding, and that's the only way that I figured out I can do it if it could be done. So I sent him to the hospital. The nutritionist wanted to put him on a supplement that had 43% sugar, when everyone with half a brain should know that simple sugars feed cancer. Okay, so we don't feed people who have cancer in a hospital. Okay, that's step one, very similar to Auschwitz that fed people 800 calories. Number two, okay, we have the ability to do surgeries that really aren't curative.
Hold that thought, because we're about to get started. We could probably talk about this all day long.
Here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from one another. I know all of you want a copy of this book. Be the 10th caller or texter. The book is called Cancer is a Symptom. It has so many different examples in here of why cancer is a symptom. We need to listen to our body. Coincidentally enough, my article for Florida Today this month is about giving the keys to terrorists when you are watching or you're responsible for the holiest of holiest temples. You're watching, you're the guard for the Taj Mahal, and you hold the keys, and we're allowing terrorists in. Would you allow a terrorist in if you were asked to protect the holiest of temples? And the answer is no, not intentionally. But yet we do that with our body. Day in, day out, we allow the terrorist in our body. We don't deal with issues. We do things to hurt ourselves. This book will allow you to kind of take ownership and stop relying on your doctor to heal you. You are your own MD. Be your own medical detective. I want to encourage you to call 407-373-5959 if you want a copy of this book. That's 407-373-5959. Because I want to hear what Dr. Carlos Garcia has to say. And of course, during the break, we record all our conversations off the air. You can go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And while you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, play around. There's lots of little buttons that you can hit. Like me there, subscribe there, do all the things. But most importantly, my sponsors that support the show, go check them out. Check to see if there's anything you can buy from them, anything that you can do with them. Because of them, this show is on the air. Because of them, I am allowed to spread this new truth. And so I want to share it with you. You're on this journey with me. Because I don't know the answers. I'm not the expert. I'm the friend that points you to the experts. But guess what? We need to become the experts of our own bodies. And ownership. Don't give your power away ever, ever, ever. 407-373-5959. Dr. Carlos Garcia, thank you so much. I know you're a very busy guy. And I'm grateful for this information. I want to move into the story of the emotional component. But it's beyond that. When you go to Utopia Wellness, which is your center in Oldsmar, which, by the way, there's so much information with Dr. Garcia. I'd love to have him on every month because he could probably write 10 books just sitting down by himself because there's so much that's happened, people that want to stop him and what he's doing. And as you know, whenever you step out of the norm, you're going to be looked at with a magnifying glass. I've received emails and letters from people that have seen Dr. Carlos Garcia. Remember, he's not the healer. We are. I love that point, Dr. Garcia, and I cannot emphasize it enough. Doctors don't heal anything. We do. So let's start with that. Why should we say to ourselves, I can trust my body and I am listened to a doctor, but I need to determine how I will heal? What do you have to say to people that give their trust away to doctors that may or may not know the new truth about cancer?
Well, I mean, basically, we've all been brainwashed into thinking that we need doctors, and to a large extent, we may need them from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, when you get in a car accident, they're great. We no one can beat us for that. But when it comes to all of the rest,
well, but the point is that there's when I first started to do this, one of the biggest issues I had to figure out is if I can't cure people, then what's my role? And the role is that you need to learn as a physician that your job is to help the patient heal, which is a rather eclectic and far out concept for medical practitioners in America. And the mistake that people are making is that they think that doctors are smarter or somehow better than they are.
It's the white coat, Dr. Garcia. It's the white coat.
Well, I don't own one. That's so the whole deal is that doctors are just human, just like you and I. You said something earlier, which is absolutely true. We as practitioners, or at least when I did anesthesia, did everything we tell people not to do. We would get up in the middle of the night thinking that we were heroically going to save somebody's life. We would wolf down lunch in 5 minutes. We would eat junk for food. We'd drink pop. We'd do all sorts of terrible things that today I tell people not to do and I don't do. However, the deal here is that most doctors are stuck in this rut of this is what I do. I don't know what else to do. I'm afraid to retool because they are afraid. See, the big secret is doctors are sheeple just like people. Okay? So when you combine sheep and people, you get sheeple. Doctors are also sheeple. The illusion that the profession wants to give it, these doctors are such more intelligent or so more intelligent than you are that you know they can't talk to you, you can't communicate because it's not their fault, it's just you're too dumb. And the problem is that if you're smart, then the smart person speaks the language of the patient. So part of being a successful practitioner is learning how to speak to people in people talk. And if you got the big language, you can use the big language with your colleagues, but you got to talk people talk. And most doctors are very, very scared. I mean, think of the process. You want the guys who can read the books, memorize the stuff, vomit the information on demand, basically have really made a long-lasting relationship with paper in the form of books or now different medias. They work hard, they study hard, they live for the grade. They go through all this study, all this intense isolation from the general population by and large. And their all colleagues are all equally dysfunctional. So we're all dysfunctional. And then at the age of about anywhere from 30 to 33, we get released to the general population and say, go do your practice and make friends. Well, we don't have that skill set. We were really isolated by the selection process from really being very people friendly and how to really play with everybody else in the sandbox. And so one of the phrases doctors really hate, which I embrace, is to say, I don't know. And you can't get many doctors to say that because they perceive that they're supposed to know. And so I remember the first time when I was doing the chelation that I said, I don't know. And when I heard that, the next person was a chiropractor who said, no, you can never say I don't know to anybody because doctors are supposed to have everything. Well, I thought that was really bad advice. So what I did was when the next patient came, if I didn't know something, I'd say, I don't know, let me look it up and let me get back to you. And that works very well. People don't get upset if people don't expect me to have universal knowledge. Yeah. If they do, they're in the wrong place.
Well, okay, go ahead.
So if you tell people honestly what you know and what you don't know, then you begin to forge a relationship with people. And that's where people don't get don't get that. So I've got to go take care of this.
No, no, Doctor. So he was walking away. That's okay, Dr. Garcia. So here's the thing. We have, you in your book, and by the way, 10th caller or texter 407-373-5959. In your book.
You're going to hear nothing but dog barks in a second.
That's okay. That's okay. So Dr. Garcia, in his book, I'll go ahead and read the work of Dr. Hammer while he is, balancing out his act with his dog, a wrestling act. If you've had, according to Dr. Hammer, this is the work he cited, Dr. Garcia cited, lungs, head, neck. This is what the root cause is. Your opinion is disrespected. Sexual organ, love betrayal. Liver, anger. Pancreatic is perceived lack of public recognition. Stomach, colon, renal, bladder, taken advantage of or disrespected by friends, family, colleagues. Brain, intellectual disrespect. Skin, perceived as being ugly. Musculoskeletal, perceived as carrying the weight of the world. So this is just the start of the root cause. When you have, Dr. Garcia, people in your clinic that come in, how quickly do you dive into the work of Dr. Hammer? Do you hammer them with the hammer?
Well, we have to do that right away because, when you think about it, most people are at Utopia Wellness for the better part of between 6 and 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So in 6 and 8 weeks, we have to, 1, identify the problem. 2, get you to realize and agree that this indeed is the problem. 3, help you find options. Or actually before that, get you to decide whether you want to make a change or do you not. Because some people have what we call sacred cows. And sacred cows are either institutions or people that you value more than your very own life.
Correct.
So we need to identify it, present it to you, see what you want to do about it, and then help you find options, and then help you execute those options, and then make those options your natural selection. Yes. In other words, get you to believe that this is what you want to do, help you execute it, and help you then normalize it as part of your normal daily living pattern, which is very difficult because, 2 months of your life, that's not a long time. It's significantly less than 1% of people's lives.
Yeah, but you know what? When you think about it, when you do chemotherapy, some people are on chemotherapy for years. And what people don't understand, even though this is not funded by your insurance, a lot of people lose a lot of money. $50,000 is the average loss. For less than that, you can heal your body naturally without toxicity. Be the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959, and win the copy of the book of Cancer is a Symptom by Dr. Carlos Garcia. When we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com, we'll be right here waiting for you, waiting for that conversation. Now we're going to have that conversation off the air. So you have to tune into YouTube for that one. Okay, Dr. Garcia, here we are. You're going into this. Oh, do you want to listen? Is that why? He can hear me.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, Dr. Garcia can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you turned that on. Okay, I didn't. I thought you were doing that.
Just muscle memory.
Muscle memory. Okay. Okay. So, Dr. Garcia, when we started the foundation, that's one of the principles. Is if you're not willing to give up your cow, your idol, whatever it is that you're holding on to, the foundation cannot help, because we're willing to, and we're still at the beginning. We're still trying to connect and get funding so that we can send people to doctors like you. Doctors like Dr. James Forsythe, Dr. Connealy, that work on a mind-body-spirit approach to healing. But if they're not willing, if they have lung cancer and they're not willing to give up their cigarettes.
But the cigarette's not the problem. Look, if there was a country that was going to have the number one, way in advance numbers of lung cancer than anybody else, it'd be China. Yet America has the highest incidence of lung cancer of anywhere in the world.
Good point.
It is not the cigarettes. Now, mind you, cigarette smoking is bad for you. I'm not saying go out and smoke. But again, America is designed to have very simple answers to complex problems because they just want to wash medicine. Medicine is the second largest industry in America. And cancer is the number one moneymaker for medicine. It used to be cardiovascular disease. So medicine, needs, if we cured cancer, we'd have an unemployment rate in excess of 25% because of the trickle-down effect.
People don't realize that, Dr. Garcia. People don't realize what would happen if they figured out how to heal cancer. And you know what makes me so passionate, and I want to choose my words, because what makes me so passionate about this topic is that there are people that are raising more money to find the cure for something that already exists. When are we going to fund my foundation, the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation, so that we can help pay for these treatments?
Well, look, Royal Rife developed this machine that he has videotaped, and as I said earlier in the show, and Royal Rife basically realized that everything is frequencies, and he's right. And so Royal Rife's machine basically was able to isolate or hyper-isolate specific cancer cells without damaging normal tissue. So you could have one cancer cells and one normal cell here. This cell would go and break up, and this one would stay normal. Royal Rife invented that machine, and that machine has dropped off the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. We have pseudo Royal Rife machines, but the reality here is that Royal Rife had the machine, invented a machine that, if used correctly, could eliminate many, many, many problems.
And you have the machine over at Utopia Wellness.
That machine, his original version of the machine, I don't know where it exists, but I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 copies left in the world.
Well, what was it that you had? People had there were
similar. They're called Rife machines, and they were similar to the Rife machine.
Here we go. This is our last segment, Dr. Garcia. Let's make it count.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today's teacher is Dr. Carlos Garcia, one of my mentors, one of the people that changed my life during the show. Where I would say to you, I've had so many teachers on the show. Dr. Carlos Garcia is way up there on my list of people who have impacted me, so much so that I started the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation. And what the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation is doing is, if you go to McDermottHolisticHealingFoundation.org, it will teach you different modalities to heal your body. Now, if you are at different stages in our life, and some of us need a coach, some people need a little bit more intervention, Utopia Wellness is one of the many options that we have that offer different therapies to heal our body. Be the 10th caller or texter, and you can read the book. And you can also, where can people get the book, Dr. Garcia?
You can buy it at Amazon.
Amazon.com. But the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959, will win a copy of Cancer is a Symptom, the Real Cause Revealed. If we don't deal with our diagnosis, like people focus on the diagnosis as the problem. Like, oh, I have diabetes, give me a pill. Oh, I have heart disease, give me a stent. I have all this stuff. But we can control these things through our nutrition, the way we think, feel, act. But yet, we'd rather take the pill than take responsibility, which is my registered service mark. I want all of us to learn that there is more. Let's talk about forgiveness, Dr. Garcia. And if there's anything else that you wanted to say?
Well, but look, the whole point is that the reason people focus on diagnosis is because their doctors that they have faith in basically need a diagnosis, because all they do is treat diagnosis. They don't treat the root causes. So that's where people get that.
Got it.
So they're being primed by their doctors who've given up on trying to figure out why things happen, because they've set up a practice that doesn't allow them to think and understand the problems.
And they can get in trouble and lose their license too, Dr. Garcia, right? If they go outside the box.
No?
I
have my license.
No, I know. No. You don't take insurance, do you?
I don't take insurance, but that has nothing to do with losing your license. The whole idea is your license has nothing to do with insurance.
No, that's not what I said. If they start thinking outside the box and doing things outside of the scope of what they're supposed to do, then they could No? So why did Dr. Andrew Wakefield lose his license?
Well, I don't understand. I mean, I don't know about his particular case, what he did or what have you, but the whole deal is this. When Florida, when you're issued a license, you're issued an unrestricted license. If I were crazy enough to want to do brain surgery in my facility, not even a hospital, I could do it. I just better not have a complication.
Okay.
So you're given an unrestricted medical license. Okay. Not only here, but when I was in Philadelphia and Kentucky, they're all unrestricted. I don't know any state that gives you a license just to practice your specialty. Doctors say that because when patients say to them, can you give me a holistic approach? And they don't want to say, I don't know how to do that for you. Okay. They say, if I did that, then I would lose my license. And the patient says, oh, okay, right. You don't want to lose your
Okay.
license.
So this is made up?
Yep. It's a cop-out. You heard it here first.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So now this is another thing that I get all the time. If I say that on the air, I'll get in trouble. So someone is threatening doctors. Who?
No. Listen to me. If you go outside the box, then what happens is you get ostracized from your friends. So if your wife likes to go to the country club, the girls won't sit with her and have tea and crumpets with her. So for God's sakes, it's all about socialization. They want to stay part of the club. They don't want to be ostracized. They don't want you to think differently because that threatens them. They're no smarter than you, for God's sakes. They like the little country club because that's what they know. That's their comfort zone. A guy like me walks in and they're like, oh shit, what do I do with him?
You said it again. Last time you were on the show, you said that word. My goodness. It's live radio. I'm sorry. I'll take an apology for this one. Go ahead, Dr. Garcia.
So the whole deal here is that these bozos, right? They're afraid to say, I don't know how to do this. Let me refer you to somebody else. They say, if I do this, they're going to take my license and I'm going to lose my livelihood. You can't ask me to do that, can you? Oh, of course not. You're a nice guy. And that's the reality. You can practice anything that you can do well in medicine. That's the truth. And that's the legality.
Yes, but also the truth is someone who's practicing outside the box. Hold on a second. Someone who's practicing on the box could be doing everything legal, but then can be a bunch of marshals go in with guns and bullets and try to shut the place down to give the illusion that they're doing something wrong.
Well, that happened to me.
That's why I said it. I didn't know if you were going to admit it. So
I have no problems with it. I mean,
no, I didn't know if you wanted to say it, but that's the reality, that doctors are being shut down and they're afraid.
Yeah, but things are changing because the system's breaking down. It's imploding.
Ah, good. Okay.
Well, it's actually
okay.
Yeah, it's good, but it's bad because the system's imploding. That's the problem.
Well, I think that people are just tired of being, we're being manipulated, we're being controlled. And so it's time for us to take 100% ownership for our lives, be our own MDs. The book is called Cancer is a Symptom. Be the 10th caller or texter 407-373-5959. Now, Dr. Garcia, before we went off of that little tangent, I wanted to talk about forgiveness. I want to talk about anger. In the book, you say anger is one word away from danger. And so talk about danger of anger and the lack of forgiveness in our lives when it comes to disease in the body.
Well, people think that if you forgive someone, you must forget. Forgive and forget. And that's not true. Forgiveness, in my opinion, comes in three flavors. You can forgive and forget. Little baby, you go to, pet him on the back. He burps, he barfs on your clothes, and he gets them dirty. You're not going to remember that at least I choose not to remember that for the rest of his life or her life. Now, when you start talking about other circumstances, you can forgive and remember. Every time I go to the family meeting, Uncle Bill is just a pain in my butt, so I'm going to stay away from him because Uncle Bill's just a pain in the butt. Okay?
Can we say these words?
And then, of course, you can also turn right around and levy punishment. So a doctor goes out and he gives his patient a hug and he pats him or her in the butt. The patient gets offended. He says, doctor, you've got a problem. I forgive you for what you did, but I'm going to report you to the Board of Medicine because, people shouldn't be getting patted on the butt. I mean, I'm a patient. I'm not your girlfriend. So the deal here is, that if you get that kind of variations on forgiveness, then you can do all sorts of things with it. You're not limited to forgiving and forgetting. That's not the truth.
Well, that's because, Dr. Garcia, people confuse trust and forgiveness. You can forgive somebody, and it really is for yourself. I think it's Buddha who said, forgiveness, a lack of forgiveness is like drinking poison, expecting somebody else to die. And so it's important that we disassociate forgiveness and trust. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm going to forget, because that's how we don't repeat issues. And just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm going to trust you back into my life. So go ahead, Dr. Garcia.
So, I mean, these are the important aspects. I mean, talk about trust, right? Think of it. People, when you actually go to the warning labels of chemotherapy, one of the things that chemotherapy tells you is that if you are the person mixing the agent, if you're the nurse or the assistant nurse mixing the agent to be infused into another human being, and you spill that agent on your hands, you have to clean yourself, because this is very toxic. And this is a terrible product to have on your skin.
Yeah.
Okay. If this product is so terrible to have on your skin, how could it be good to infuse it into anybody else?
It doesn't make any sense. I just want to stop here because I want to acknowledge you, Dr. Garcia. I want to thank you for being on the Lillian McDermott radio show. And I want to remind my listeners and my viewers, the 10th caller or texter for the book. If you don't win today, get the book. It's called Cancer is a Symptom, The Real Cause Revealed. Dr. Garcia, thank you so much for the work you do. And I'm so grateful that you have taken the time to be on the show today. Last word that you'd like to leave people with.
Trust yourself. The only person stuck with you is you. Everybody else can come and go, but you're stuck with you. So if you've got a problem, go to the mirror and talk to the mirror.
That's a good advice. We're going to continue our conversation after the show. But for those of you, my listening friends, I know that's hard to digest this, but you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. What does responsibility look like to you? This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job. Okay. So Dr. Garcia, as we run out of time, I know that you have patients to see, and I want to take just a little bit more of your time. I want to say, for those of you who are watching, you can find Dr. Garcia at 110 State Street East, Oldsmar, that's Florida, and it's located near Tampa, and the number is 727-799-9060. Dr. Garcia, as you've been doing this for how long now?
22 years.
22 years. As you've been doing this for 22 years, what has been your biggest, I cannot believe this continues today? Other than chemotherapy, I mean, that's chemotherapy, radiation continues today. But for you, what would be your largest, I cannot believe this is still happening after all 20 years of me learning about this?
It's a good question, but it's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah. You probably have 5 or 10.
Yeah, there's no real simple thing. I mean, I really, the biggest problem that I see is that medicine has basically, in my opinion, I think just given up. I think it's just that the practitioners have been worn down to the point where they're really not willing to sit down and have a conversation. I think that there's a slew of practitioners between 55 and older that are looking to clock out, that is to say, just retire and move on. Yes. I think that the modern doctors are basically getting really, I suspect, better indoctrinated into procedures and pills to salvage a system that has already failed, is failing, and will continue to fail in ever higher numbers. And I just don't make heads or tails of it. But the reality is that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is I just focus on the people who come to Utopia Wellness and basically ask for help so that we can try to help them. Trying to figure out how to change the system, in my opinion, is spinning my wheels.
But you can't change the system. All we can do is change ourselves one person at a time. And you are definitely a vessel by which people change. I mean, me going to Utopia Wellness changed me to the point it made me aware of how our bodies do heal if given what they need. If you could give me some quick bullet items of what we can do to heal our bodies, to prevent cancer, what would you say are some of these bullet items that I'm sure you coach people on all the time?
I think the best preventative for cancer is, 85% of all diseases start in the colon. So I would do colonic irrigations at least twice a year. Mm-hmm. And first time you do it, you should do between 4 to 6, I think, every 6 months, and then at least 4 to 6 every year. You need to do a liver flush with herbal tea, and a gallbladder flush if you still have your gallbladder. Everyone should have their gallbladder. I think that you need to do chelation therapy. Chelation therapy is a wonderful therapy. I had the largest clinics in the world.
That was what was shut down, right?
Right.
You know, I had a doctor on my show 2 days ago who was shut down as well. Well, they weren't shut down. It was a letter that was received by the FDA saying that, you know, he feels that he could lose his license if he continues doing chelation because he accepts insurance. And so they made a statement that was not allowed to, you wouldn't be able to do this. So, and so he made a decision to no longer do chelation. And he was the only center in Melbourne that was doing it. It's sad because he was part of the studies of chelation therapy. And the FDA is doing a second chelation study. And I don't know what they're going to try to prove at that point when the first one was so successful.
Well, I think that actually the one that you consider the first is actually the second. There was one actually done in the 1980s that they didn't publish the findings because they were favorable to chelation. This is the second study, and I believe it's the university. There's a university around Miami area. I forgot what the name of it is. That actually says that it does chelation therapy. So there's a university hospital doing chelation therapy.
Wow.
However, we want you to use all the other drugs and all the other procedures because it's all about money. That's the reality of it. But the deal here is that you can change the system one patient at a time. You can change the system by having one person have the success and try to tell other people. And the biggest problem is that it's been so ingrained that everyone should do what the traditional doctors say, that when you deviate from that, the family members go crazy. They go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I know. I mean, that happened in our family with one of my husband's siblings, you know. They wanted to do holistic and everybody told them, even me, you know, we all said, no, you know, do the chemotherapy rate. That's what saves people. But we're all in the belief that 2.1% is good enough. That is ridiculous.
Well,
not acceptable.
Well, I understand that, but unfortunately they didn't set the bar too high.
No.
So I mean, the whole deal here is that people just need to come to an awareness that they are their own healers, and how you do that, I'm not exactly sure. Again, I have my hands full trying to deal with the people that walk into Utopia asking for help, seeking to change so that they can get their health back and keep their health. And the thing that I tell people is, whatever you do, whatever you learn at Utopia to get well, are things you're going to have to continue doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah. It's
not something that you're going to do while you're at Utopia and then go back to, you know, doing whatever it is that got you sick. And you need to learn. And the reason you need to participate is because you need to customize whatever we're trying to help you achieve so that it doesn't become a punishment to you. If you're looking at whatever you do as a punishment, then you're not going to do it willfully.
So that's another bullet item that I would say. You also talked about forgiveness, anger being dangerous.
Well, yeah, anger is a letter away from being danger. And again, when you're angry, people that are very, very angry tend to get liver disease, you know, because that's where you store the anger, according to Chinese medicine. So again, there's a lot of integration. And what I really think that people should really do is begin to understand that they can read about medicine and start formulating questions. I mean, it's remarkable how when people come to my office, they're loaded with questions, and they feel that they can ask all the questions you want. You ask them, when I ask them, did you ask all these questions to the oncologist? They say, well, no, because they're busy. So what am I? I'm busy? You know, it's
what are you, chopped liver?
so the whole deal here is that you need to understand that you've been sort of programmed into, you can't question the doctor. And my thing is, question the doctor. He puts his pants on, or she puts her pants on, one leg at a time.
Yeah, some doctors don't make it easy. I was talking to someone. I know, but people are afraid. But that's the reality. People have been conditioned. We're the sheep. And sheep have been, you know, if you look at the Bible, if you look at we've been compared to the dumbest animal. And so, you know, we follow along to the voice of the shepherd. We're conditioned. It's a lullaby. We're lulled to believe that the doctor is right. So I had this person that I was telling her this about, you know, she has restless leg syndrome, and I was coaching with her, and she, you know, I told her, I said, you know, there's nutritional deficiencies that have been associated with restless leg syndrome. Perhaps maybe she should look into it. And she said, you know what? I went to my doctor, And the doctor wanted to prescribe this drug. She said, how long will I need to take this? And he said, the rest of your life. And she said, because she had spoken to me, she had said, no, can I do something else? He had a file this thick in his hand. He had a computer and some papers, and he slammed it on the table,
Right.
where she was, where there's the cushion people lay down on. He slammed it, and he said, then get out.
Fine, then you leave. You fire him.
I know, but then we internalize that as I did something wrong, because we are taught to be victims from the moment we're born.
Listen, when people talk to me this way, right? I turn around and I make it a physical illusion for them. Okay, if someone wanted to grope you, would you let them?
No, it all depends who he is.
Yeah, okay, but if it isn't
George Clooney, Go ahead, I'm just joking. That was a horrible joke.
Well, I understand.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
Fine. This is nothing more than emotional groping.
Mm.
Okay? So when I dumb it down, as I say, if I dumb it down to physical contact, every one of you get it. Okay? You get it. I mean, it's like, no, you shouldn't be putting your hands where they don't belong, blah, 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 blah. So what's the difference between me touching somebody incorrectly and me basically emotionally berating them incorrectly?
You know what? That's a great point. And I'm hoping that as people are watching, they're really looking and doing a self-evaluation. How many times do we just walk away because we don't see it with the value that it should have? So many things that we do. And then this is what happens, which is the point of Hammer's point, which is then we internalize it. And what Dr. Mona Lisa Scholz has said on the show is that when we have trauma and when we have something that we perceive as being wronged, or whether it's a child as an adult, that is recorded in our white blood cell. And that's where the trauma resides. Then it goes into a place in our body where it's associated with that center. And that's when it starts manifesting. And the other day, Dr. Garcia, because I've learned from all you wonderful teachers, I was coaching somebody, and it was a man who had breast cancer. And because I know this work, I said, I just want to ask if you're open. Are you open? And he said, oh, yeah, of course. I said, what happened to you? Because it had been 2 years since he had breast cancer. What happened to you prior to that? What side was it? And so he had said that it was on his left side. And I asked him if there was a woman who had betrayed him. And he said, yes. So, we can dive into it and be curious about it instead of dismiss it and say, that's not real. It's not science. It's not, but it's been documented.
Yes, but the whole point is that when you treat body parts, 15-minute medicine is nothing more than body part treatment. And the reason they want to diagnose this is because they want to basically convert the patient into the Uber for the diagnostic part, because all they're going to do is treat body parts. And as I tell, whenever I see a breast kind of waddle into my office, sit in one of my chairs, and I'm talking to a nipple, then I start treating body parts. But at every other time, it comes in with a head, torso, arms, and legs. So if that's what walks in, that's what you have to treat if you want to be a physician. However, being a physician requires more than 15 minutes. If you're going to do 15-minute medicine, then what you got to do is just look at the numbers and treat the numbers, and then the person becomes like a side note or a footnote on the entire aspects, and that's the problem. You need to understand that people are what needs to be treated, not their diagnosis and not their body parts, because people are not their diagnosis. And that's why doctors, if anybody walks into an oncologist's office and says, I've got this mass, and it's a fungating mass in the breast, to make it simple, okay? And you say, that's a cancer, I want you to treat me. The first thing the oncologist is going to say, well, I need a biopsy. You said, look, it's cancer, that's your biopsy. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I need to know the tissue type. Why? Because they go looking in a book, say, this tissue type is treated this way for everybody. So there's a box, and if you're a round peg, you're going to fit that square box. Mm-hmm. Whereas medicine is supposed to say, what are you, pentagonal? We need to make a pentagonal treatment plan for you, because the plan is supposed to fit the patient's not supposed to fit the plan. And that's the problem. If you're going to make a plan that fits the patient, then you cannot do it in 15 minutes. And because the way the system is, you wind up only having 15 minutes, so they have to treat numbers, and they cannot afford to treat people. And this is all about treating people, not about treating diagnoses or just body parts. So, body part medicine results, what'd you say, 2.1% success rate?
Yeah, that's right. It's in PubMed. I didn't make it up. It's in PubMed. And yeah, I know, but I just want to know, I want my followers to know where the information, if you go to PubMed. I also wrote an article called "We Are Not Chemotherapy Deficient." So I'm now writing Dr. Garcia, and that was one of my October articles that I wrote. We're not chemotherapy deficient. So it's finding out what the deficiencies are. Dr. James Forsythe, when he comes on the show, when he sees a patient, and I want to see if you do this too, he takes a DNA sample, he does a test, and it comes back and it says what you're deficient in, what drugs works best for you, and he's an oncologist / homeopath. And so he's able to have a roadmap because he's now looked at the inside of the individual, what the deficiencies are, what they need. And of course, along with, if you just treat the body, then you're missing out on the spiritual and emotional side of it. So he treats everything as well. So how do you find out that component of what the person can tolerate in the body?
All right, so let's talk about genes, because one of the biggest black holes that has now been created with medicine, which is always looking for why you're not smart enough to be your own healer, is genetics. So the way I explain genetics to people is you got a wardrobe. On one side of your wardrobe, you have your formal wear. On one side of your wardrobe, you've got your beach wear. You get invited to the governor's ball. I don't really think you're going to go to the beach wear section. You're going to go to the formal gown section. Your friend's having a beach party. I'm pretty much sure you're not going to go in there and show up with a gown. You're going to show up with some sort of beach wear. So this is a kind of a long-winded way to basically tell you that external forces cause the expression or the suppression of genes. Now, unlike the wardrobe analogy, you can't go to needless gene makeup and buy more jeans. So you're stuck with the wardrobe you have. So you're stuck with the genetic pool that you have. But you, and this is what people don't want you to do, and Bruce Lipton does a brilliant job on this with epigenetics, you can control the expression or the suppression of the genes. So when people come in here and they say, you should do this gene study because, the gene company wants to make $5,000.
Well, it may not be a gene. It may be a sample of the DNA. He gets this in Greece, by the way. Go ahead. I
know it's about $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the reason I don't do that is because they take your blood, they send it to Greece, they put it in the laboratory, and they multiply it. They make it grow. Okay. So do you think that laboratory condition represents your body? The answer is no.
No, but what I think what comes back is what kind of drugs are safe, and that
doesn't matter because those genes mutate, and the environment, remember what I just told you.
Yes.
External forces causes the expression of different genes or suppresses different genes.
Yes.
Right? I gave you the analogy of getting an invitation to a formal wear or to a beach party, right?
Yes.
Now you take this blood and you take it to a laboratory. The laboratory grows the blood. It's a whole new environment. It's a whole new invitation. Is it getting invited to the formal ball? Is it getting invited to the beach wear? Is it getting invited to go to a camping trip? We don't know, right? So we don't know what's being expressed, and we don't really know what's going to work inside your body. We're, again, trying to make medicine into a science, and medicine is an art.
And go back to the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton. I've interviewed him twice. For those of you who want to listen to that interview, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. But Dr. Bruce Lipton says that whatever, and to say for your point, whatever you put the cell in and change the environment of the cell, it will become whatever is in its environment. So
ergo, why I think the test is basically a way to get you ripped off for $5,000.
Okay. Well, it may be a different test. I have no idea. I just know that it tells him what drugs he can use. He actually used.
There aren't that many of those tests out there.
In Greece.
And whether it's the Greek test or the ones out of Australia, no matter where it is, when they take your blood and when they're now making your blood multiply in numbers so that there's enough of it so that you can test it, remember, as soon as they take it out, the blood begins to change because the environment that keeps your homeostasis That blood's not getting oxygenated. That blood isn't being expressed. That blood is still creating some toxins. Those toxins are not being filtered out. All those variables we conveniently ignore because we want to sell the product. Okay, we want to make sure that you understand that without this product, we, the doctors, don't have control over you. You don't need those things because you know what? You know what you haven't said is that the body's a phenomenal machine in and of itself.
I love
and
that.
once you realize that, you don't need those dumb laboratories to tell you what's going on in your genetics because they don't know. But they like to make $5,000 a pop.
Wow.
Okay?
Well, I'm gonna find out what that test is because that yes, I am. I know. No, I'm not questioning you. I'm just want to make sure I say it correctly and that I represent it correctly because the test he was telling me was about $2,000, so it could be something different.
I don't know. Maybe they're having a sale.
Maybe. Dr. Garcia, I know we could talk for the rest of the day, but I know that you have wonderful patients waiting for you. I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing this information. I'd love to have a show called Emotional Groping. I think that could be a great show, and we can talk about the reasons why, because you have doctors that say colonics, crap. You have, flushes, bull. But why you believe so much in them? You've seen the work. Everybody has their opinion, and so we become like, where do we turn? Where do we look? Who can we trust on this? So can we maybe have a conversation about that in the future?
You might just want to start looking at which civilizations have survived the test of time, such as the Oriental, and see how they do things. Because there's nothing better than just a proven methodology. And you need to understand the detoxification and keeping the meridians and keeping everything aligned correctly is very, very important. And it wasn't until very recently that they began to accept a little bit of acupuncture in this country and the like, because they want these things. They want to make sure that no other form of medicine comes in here because it's such a lucrative business. This is the whole point. And the sad part about it is that we can change the model so that the doctors get paid a lot to keep their patients healthy.
You know
and
what?
The problem here is
No.
See,
okay, go ahead.
So the whole point is that if you're looking at trying to keep your body healthy, you go back and sage knowledge tells you that 85% of all diseases start in the colon. Like, I'm 62, I've never done a colonoscopy. Why? Because it does nothing to treat my colon. It just does something to make somebody's Mercedes payment. So the whole deal here is I'd rather treat my colon than give somebody the money for the Mercedes, because that's not going to do anything, because it depends on how visually apt that person is. And cancer starts with a single cell, not with a cluster. And
we're losing you, Dr. Garcia. Hold on.
Oh, no.
We're losing you.
Oh,
Are you back?
oh, no.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so we got you now. we got you. Okay, so you were saying that, we missed what you said about the colonics. Do you want to repeat that again?
Sure. Look, 85% of all diseases start in the colon. Okay? When you do colonic irrigations, you're going against the grain, so you're eliminating the single cell layer that basically forms that is able to really destroy the immune system. I mean, all autoimmune diseases, when someone tells me they got any autoimmune disease, I can tell you that their colon's screwed up. And in fact, I think a ton of people who have rheumatoid arthritis, get them off their drugs, get them back having a healthy life with drug-free, with treating them with colonic irrigations.
So if you don't have cancer and you have an autoimmune disease, you can go to Utopia Wellness as well. You help people heal their body.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better, nothing more fun for me than when I see people with the diagnosis of a well baby visit. What do you got? I got no complaints. Good. A well baby. Great. What do you want to do? I want to learn how to maintain my body. Easy. Here's what you do. Boom, 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 boom. So the whole purpose here is that it's a lot easier to maintain than it is to try to fix.
Well, so let me ask you something. What about coffee enemas?
Coffee enemas are great. They produce glutathione in the liver.
Okay. You got to keep coming back, Dr. Garcia. I know that you have things to do, and I certainly have meetings to go to as well, but I would love for us to continue this conversation as much as possible. And so thank you so much for coming on the show today, Dr. Garcia. And to you, my viewing friends, thank you for watching. I look forward to our next conversation.